Well, certainly busy days here at Mark Brogan Weather HQ. We're going to be doing a little car hunting this afternoon, myself and Lindsay. And obviously, I did the video from earlier on. Check that out, all about the stratospheric warming situation that is ongoing at the minute and possible repercussions of that further down the road. Obviously, tomorrow, the all important live stream winter forecast release 25-26, continuing to work on that, continuing to scratch my head at the final outcome, the final verdict, the all important call on the upcoming winter season. So be sure to join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. There's all the appropriate links in the description below today's video. But welcome to the Global Weather Report. I think it's 163rd or 64th. I've not even checked. It's that busy. But I wanted to do a global weather report today because there is so many things happening at the minute, especially the focus down in Southeast Asia. An exceptionally rare tropical cyclone that has managed to cross not only Indonesia's Sumatra Island, but also into the Malacca Strait, across Peninsula Malaysia, and then into the South China Sea, causing all sorts of devastating floods, and even some unusual chill. I don't know if it's in the wake of that tropical system or not. Probably further north, but some very interesting things going on. Unfortunately, very devastating things. In fact, it's actually the most deadly tropical cyclone of the 25 season globally, with the death toll well in excess of 200 folks. But this was the scene out of the Banda Aceh region of North Sumatra, declared a disaster zone following the floods and landslides that left at least 79 people dead and 115 missing. But we'll get to that in a little second. We'll get to the details of that tropical cyclone very, very shortly. But I wanted to first and foremost touch on the temperature anomaly situation across the planet as we end the month of November. Bearing in mind tomorrow is the last day of November, hard to believe. We're rapidly approaching meteorological winter 2025-26. And this is the temperature anomalies for the month so far. A lot of warmth on that chart, it has to be said. This has turned out to be a pretty warm November overall, based on what I can see. North America is going to have a rapid flip around from the warmth that they've seen over the last 29 days. This is, by the way, the upcoming 7 days, according to the ECM extended here, and it looks as if we've got a run of a couple of weeks of multiple lobes of Arctic air getting driven south, probably a consequence of what's going on above within the stratosphere. But back to the global view here for the month so far, you can see here that it has been colder than average across, say, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Much of central and western China has been colder than average. Even the southeast of China has been colder than average this month, which is quite interesting. Further north over the eastern side of this vast country, it has been warmer than average, as can be seen here. We've also seen multiple overnight minimums into the minus 50s now across parts of Siberia. Nothing unusual for this time of the year, it has to be said. Much of Australia has been below average, yet we've seen the first 47 Celsius temperatures in parts of Oceania in the past several days. We've got a warmer than average New Zealand, for example. Bit of a mix and match across the African continent. And in terms of Europe, then we've got looking like this here. So it still remains warmer than average on the whole. We've got a few pockets of below average, and for the UK and Ireland, it's going to wind up a warmer than average month. It has also been quite a wet month, it has to be said, across many areas of the UK, particularly England and Wales. Not so much the further north you go across Scotland, as well as down across the southeast, the far southeast, where we still have some restrictions in place. Central Europe, much of Iberia, largely average to slightly below. Northern portions of Scandinavia as well is running below average. And let's not forget our friends up in Iceland, very warm compared to average down across, well, the east and southeast of the continent. So, like I said, it has been very wet, particularly so down in the southeast of Asia in recent times, exacerbated by Cyclone Senar, which has delivered record breaking rainfall in parts of Thailand. We've seen exceptional rainfall across Indonesia, Malaysia. Um, but let's have a quick look at rainfall over the past. Where is it? I've got that many tabs. Hold on, there we go. This is the rainfall over the last 30 days, according to the CPC gauge 0.5 data. We've had a wetter than average California, actually. Much of the lower 48, I suppose you could argue, much of North America has actually been below average. We've had a wetter than average across a good swathe of Russia. Very wet, like I say, Southeast Asia, across parts of central and northeastern India into Bangladesh, wetter than average. Down across, say, the south of Africa has actually been wetter than average, which is interesting here, largely drier than average. Away from the far north, where we've seen a record early powerful typhoon, or should I say cyclone, I'll get my geography right. Cyclone. We've seen a fairly powerful early season cyclone down in the just the north, along the north shore of the Northern Territories, where we've seen record-breaking rainfall in the Darwin area, for example. And yeah, let's zoom into Europe then for the last 30 days. And yeah, it's been fairly wet away from that north and northwest corner of Scotland, dry across Iceland, as you can see here. But Eastern Europe here, that's east central swathe of Europe, has been fairly wet down across the north and south of Italy into the Balkan region as well has been quite wet. Much of Iberia has been quite wet as well, as you can see. The focus of wettest conditions compared to average, at least, is in that southwestern corner of Scotland, northwestern England. But much of England, Wales, and Ireland is wetter than average, even in the central belt. The far northeast corner of Aberdeenshire and Caithness is also slightly wetter than average, but you can see here a notable dry anomaly showing up here around about the Loch Aber area of West Highland, Scotland. So that is that. Let me see here. Let's look at Asia specifically then, and we have seen a very wet Philippines into Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, that southeast corner of Asia, highly populated part of the world, very, very wet indeed. And then, like I say, up into the northeast corner of India, where it has actually been slightly drier than average through the monsoon season. For example, uh, Bangladesh also. Remember, we've got the northeasterly monsoon kicking in at this time of the year. Tends to be drier for many areas. This vast population center, but you also have a shift, obviously, in the winds, which mean that we see other places catching the wettest conditions. The rainy season obviously shifts around throughout the year, and now that we've got that northeasterly monsoon kicking in, and also the cyclone activity has now changed as well. Speaking of cyclone activity, it's quite unusual to see this situation here. So this is tropical storm Koto, I believe it is, just to the east of Vietnam, where it has been exceptionally wet over recent months. We've also got an unusual Ditwa tropical storm, Ditwa, that has been largely affecting the Sri Lanka and southeast corner of India region in recent days. We have got this tweet here from Back Perch Weather: landfall for only the fifth time in recorded history and the first since 1992. A cyclone has made landfall over Sri Lanka in the month of November, peaking so far at 40 miles per hour. So it's obviously a low end system with a pressure down only to around about 1,001 millibars. Tropical storm Ditwa is causing disastrous landslides and raging flash floods today as it moves across Sri Lanka. Despite his very weak wind speeds, at least 47 casualties have sadly been reported, with another 25 plus missing. Simultaneously, just 1,400 miles to Ditwa's east, tropical depression Senyar continues to flood Sumatra, Indonesia, as well as Malaysia. Let's move on then to the situation regarding Senyar. We'll look at some footage in just a second, but wanted to pull this up here from Wikipedia. Cyclone Senar, also referred to as Tropical Depression 34W, 34W, is an exceptionally rare and very deadly tropical cyclone that brought heavy rains, catastrophic floods, and landslides in Malay Peninsula and Sumatra in late November 2025. The 13th um, tropical depression and third cyclone of the 2025 North Indian cyclone season. Senyar developed in the Strait of Malacca, which, to be honest with you, I personally didn't actually think, does that really even happen? The fact that it's such a narrow piece of warm water, granted it's very warm, but you're surrounded by mountainous terrain there. You've got the vast island of Sumatra on one side, then you've got the Malay Peninsula on the other side. My wife and I visited Malaysia back in February. Very, very busy part of the world, both in the air as well as on the Malacca Strait itself. One of the most active shipping lanes on the planet. Really quite a fascinating situation here. As devastating as it is, it's very fascinating from a meteorological point of view. But so the low pressure system developed on the 22nd of November. Disturbance headed westwards and intensified into a tropical depression. So it headed west and then a deep depression on the 25th of November. It then further intensified into a tropical cyclone before landfall in northern Sumatra near midnight on the 26th of November, and then paralleled the Sumatran coastline as it weakened and made a secondary landfall in peninsular Malaysia. It was the second tropical cyclone documented in the Malacca Strait after Storm Vemi in 2000, probably the wrong pronunciation, and the first to form there since the beginning of reliable records. So only the second, from what I can read there, only the second development within this region on record. Senyar's remnants moved over Malaysia and emerged back into the South China Sea on the 20th of November, after which the JMA, Japanese Meteorological Agency, began tracking it. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center also resumed advisories, stating that it moved into the Western Pacific region and regenerated. Senyar caused heavy flooding and landslides across central and southern Thailand, Peninsula Malaysia. Remember, you've got two parts to Malaysia, and Sumatra, Indonesia, killing over 550 people, and in three countries, at least 294 deaths were attributed, 620 injuries, and 290 missing were reported in Indonesia, all them in North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and the Aceh provinces. Thailand also reported 263 fatalities across 14 provinces, including approximately 200 in Songkhla alone. Along, some officials claim a much higher figure, and you can see here quite clearly in this track plot that the system developed right along the west side of the Malaysian peninsula. So this is at the north side of the Malacca Strait, a little bit wider, so probably enough of a region of water to allow a circulation to actually develop and then intensify. Then it moved on to the northeast corner of Sumatra, ran slightly to the south, then returned back eastwards. Exceptionally rare situation here, and then crossed over the Malay Peninsula, probably heavily affecting the Kuala Lumpur metro area, and then moved into the South China Sea. So truly fascinating as well as very devastating. Highest winds 35 miles per hour, so this was not a wind event really. but a rain event. And obviously, when you've got mountainous terrain in a tropical location and heavy rainfall associated with a tropical system, you've got all the recipe for disastrous flooding. So that is that. Let's move on to this video here that was released by DW News. Let's listen, see some of the footage.
More than 300 people are known to have died in flooding across Southeast Asia caused by heavy monsoon rains. Water levels exceeded 3 meters in southern Thailand, and as they recede, the extent of the devastation is becoming clear. Tommy Walker reports from the region's largest city, Hat Yai.
Heavy floods have submerged this city. People are trapped in their homes, while houses, businesses and buildings have been severely damaged. Hat Yai, with a population of nearly 500,000, has been devastated by floodwaters, swallowing vehicles, roads and ground floor structures. A state of emergency is in force, but mass evacuation orders and relief efforts from the Thai military have not stopped the destruction. Wayupak Sukyarok was stuck in her flooded home for nearly a week before making a break for it.
My house is in Street 32 and the entire first floor is underwater. It was very eerie. There were people crying out with elderly people and children. Some had to climb in from the roof.
Residents have been using boats, jet skis and even bicycles to beat the floods, while rescue teams have been evacuating people from their submerged homes. Hospitals in the city are also strained. Hat Yai Hospital is still trying to treat patients despite the damage to its infrastructure.
We have the 2 near drowning people.
So essentially that's the focus in the Hat Yai region of southern Thailand. Now there's a bit of a convergence situation developing here. We've had that tropical system, but also the northeasterly trade winds that have been generating the flooding as well. So it's been a two-pronged disaster that's been affecting this part of the world in recent times. So let's have a quick look. You've got that was the scenes coming out of Thailand, but I also wanted to show you the situation regarding the other parts of Southeast Asia as well here. So let's move on to volcanic. This is from the 25th of November. Heartbreaking scenes coming out of North Sumatra, Indonesia today after a house was hit by a landslide. Now, let's play this here. Caused by the exceptional rainfall. I'm not going to show the entire thing because there is unfortunately people that did not make it. So let me see here. This is from only 21 minutes ago from Volcanic on Twitter. Volcaholic. I always say volcanic. I don't know why. Breaking. The death toll from floods and landslides on the Indonesian island of Sumatra has risen to 303 according to national disaster.
Melaporkan dan dari batas kota Seleng Bawah Jembatan Kembar terjadi tanah longsor. Mohon bantuan personil dan mungkin sudah banyak.
So landslides have been one of the biggest threats in this region. Yeah, that they're used to wet weather as well, but nothing on this scale and level, it has to be said. So let me just see here. What else? Just put my cup down for a second. This was the scene, by the way, in Izmir in Turkey.
Şelale oldu ve şurada deniz karayla birleşti. Bakın. Deniz resmen karayla.
We've had a lot of tremendous rainfall across parts of Turkey, Greece, Italy in recent times. Check this out here. Back to the case in point. This is Aceh.
Otak manyo, dadah. Dadah. Saling baring lah, saling baring.
Let's continue to look through and see flash floods across parts of South Africa. Sri Lanka, so obviously the cyclone that's affecting this part of the world. So essentially, this is like another part of the Indian Ocean. It really is throwing out some big time. What's pretty amazing actually when you think about this is you're talking about two exceptionally rare events in the one ocean basin simultaneously at the same time, which is pretty amazing to think about as well here. So yeah, a pretty serious situation ongoing across the far southeast of Asia, it has to be said. Let me just see here where else this is. This is again, I think, the Aceh region of
Bang, jangan kali bang. Oke, sekarang, oke, lompat terus, lompat.
people literally clinging to trees.
Oke bang, oke, dah, oke bang. Itu.
Thankfully, they managed to get that chap that was clinging to that palm tree. Continue to see very, very sad situation. Really, that North Sumatra area of Indonesia has been really devastated. Actually, flown over that part of the world a couple of times.
La ilaha illallah. Wayu ummah habis. Pantang.
Allahu Akbar.
Kap belek.
This has been a part of the world like month, day after day, week after week, month after month. It's been exceptionally hot in this part of the world. If you follow extreme temperatures around the world on Twitter, he's been posting a lot about this kind of endless heat, so to speak. Record daytime temperatures, record hot nights, especially nighttime temperatures seem to have been quite a thing. And it feels like for the guts of 12 months or even longer than that, that there's been parts of this region of the world that has been a bit of a heat trap, if that's the right term. Probably not, but we've been seeing night after night, temperatures struggling to get much below 26, 27, 28 Celsius. And this is winter time now, setting in Southeast Asia. So yeah, even though it's tropical, this is a time of the year that it should be cooler. And yep, it has been pretty crazy. Also, that fire situation down in across in Hong Kong has also been really quite difficult to look at in recent times. But yeah, so that is a pretty good example of some of the incredible floods that have been affecting a large part of Southeast Asia. It has to be said. The monsoon is one aspect. The other is rare tropical cyclones. This is again another scene. This is from Medan in northern Sumatra. Look at this here. The damage that's been inflicted as well. It's you think to yourself, it's the after effects of all this as well that is really quite difficult to comprehend. So anyway, let me just see here if I can find a couple of other things that I was wanting to show. Let's actually look at I want to bring up Thierry Goose's Twitter handle, because he posted this earlier this morning. Southeast Asia cold spell. So not only are they being affected by exceptional heat, exceptional floods, but also we've seen some unusual cold. Now, there has been cold pushing out of Siberia down into the southeast of Asia. Laos temperatures dropped to 1 Celsius, albeit we're talking over 1,000 meters above sea level, but it fell to only less than a half a degree from the November national record for the country, set in the same place, Plain of Jars, back in 1928. We also seen a zero point 0.7 Celsius recorded in 2007. Thailand, we've seen an elevation down to 454 meters. We've seen a temperature drop down to 6 Celsius, which is a November record. So, if I'm reading this right, this is the coldest November temperature on record for Thailand, down to 6 Celsius. That's pretty cold for Thailand. And Myanmar, we've seen temperatures drop as low as minus 0.5 in Namsam, elevation 981 meters above sea level, and a November record for Myanmar. So rather interesting. You can see here fairly cool temperatures. Granted, we do have some areas that are into the low 20s, but yeah, that is rather chilly for this region of the planet. And obviously, like I said, on the heels of some devastating widespread floods. Let me just see here if there's anything else that I can show. We're starting to see the big snows appearing in British Columbia. And like I said already, we've been seeing the first minus 50s. Let's have a quick check at the current temperatures globally, and then I will end it there because I think I've been waffling on long enough. Chillier weekend. We do have wet and windy weather across the UK, across more southern areas of the UK. That is, we've got clear skies, lighter winds, and colder temperatures across the north of the UK. But if we pan across, let's look at minimum temperatures then, and you can see here that we're starting to see cooling temperatures even across the southeast. We're still holding on to 16, 18 Celsius, which is fairly fairly mild for the time of the year. Temperatures in the Middle East are actually on the rise over the next few days. We could be seeing temperatures into the 30s, which is for early December is probably record breaking, certainly locally at least anyway. But you can see here minimum temperatures now starting to creep down, even into single figures across northern portions and central portions of Iraq, down into the kind of 10 to 13 Celsius range. Kuwait, parts of Saudi Arabia, the Bahrain area. We're also still holding on to some tropical nights across parts of the UAE, for example, and then moving into mountainous Pakistan. We're talking about temperatures into the minus range. Again, temperatures chilly down into the southeast portions of Southeast Asia. I'm sure many folks here feeling that chill. Still warm across the Philippines. Remember, these are minimum temperatures. Still talking about mid 20s in some spots, even 25, 26 Celsius to start the day. But then as you move further north over Asia, we're talking about temperatures widely into the minus 40s. It looks as if we've lost those minus 50 Celsius numbers to start the day today. But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if we get some cross-polar flow, bitterly colder, crossing over the top from Asia into North America, and setting off a pretty cool start to the month of December across the North American continent. I want to finish off by showing you here the temperature. This is the upper level situation according to the ECM extended for the next 30 days. So this is Friday the 20th of November through Sunday the 20th of December. We do have blocking to the north, but we've got a negative here with a ridge parked over the subtropical Atlantic with this negative in between. So you've got a ridge of high pressure over the central North Atlantic. We've got a ridge over Greenland and a negative in between. And that, to me, folks, does not look like an overly favourable setup for cold weather across western areas of Europe. But we will see what happens. Remember, the modelling is all over the place at the minute. The modelling is suggesting that we start to see a change mid to late December to higher latitude blocking. What does the MJO do? Do we start to see it grab a hold of the tropospheric atmosphere as we head through the month of December. Remember, what's happening up in the stratosphere at the minute could be suppressing the influence of the MJO Phase 7. So we're going to watch and continue to monitor this space. Join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the live stream. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out that upload from earlier on this morning as well. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and weekend. Bye for now.